Year 9, so your next topic is called congruence and similarity. And it's basically about seeing one shape and then seeing it transformed either bigger or smaller, but angles match or sides match, etc. That'll make more sense once you've had a few lessons. The first thing we're going to look at, which will be nice and straightforward to you because it's about ratio, which you know about. And the first exercise is called ratio and scale. So you want to write the topic, congruence and similarity, and exercise 5.2, ratio and scale. So ratios are used to compare two or more things in the same units. At this stage, while I'm talking, I'd say it's a good idea to write the heading plus the exercise heading, and then I'd like you to write this. So these all mean the same thing. 1.4 is equal to the way we say it. So we say 1 to 4. And it's also equal to the fraction 1/4. So if we have like 5 to 7, that's the same as 5/7. Okay. So let's have a look at this part first, which you should be good with. It's just finding highest common factors. So it says express the ratios in the simplest form. And if you think of that as a fraction, so you think of 18/6. I'm just going to write it over here. So that could be the same as 18 divided by 6. But if you do it this way, you would say, oh, well, 6 goes into 18 3 times, and that'd be your answer. Now, that's not particularly correct. Well, it's not correct in this case because you still want it to be a ratio. And it is to 1, but you might forget that. So we're going to leave it in this form. But know that you're doing the same thing. So you're going to say what goes into 18 that also goes into 6. And we want the highest number. So you can do another number. It just means you do more steps. So if you can all see that 6 goes into both of those, you'll say 6 into 18 goes 3 times and 6 into 6 goes once. Then you're left with the blue, which is 3, ... 1. And if you can think of it that way, that's fine. But then your answer's got to be 3 to 1. So that's why it might be easier in this case to leave it in that form. All right, what do we do when there's a decimal place? So we're going to move that decimal place, and this is like a scale balancing. So if we want to get rid of that, we would multiply by 10. If you multiply both sides by 10, then it moves the decimal place, and it just is easier then to play with. So this would become 16 if we move it one spot to the right, but we'd have to move the other spot to the right one space as well. Now that you've got 16 and 28, you should know that that's not in its simplest form, so we haven't answered the question yet, so we need to keep going. Now, if I can't be bothered now working out what the highest common factor is, you might be going ahead and doing that, which is fine. I could just start halving them. So I'm going to go, because they're both even numbers, I'm going to go half of 16 is 8, half of 28 is 14. Oh no, I'm not finished, okay? Then you might say what goes into both of those, or they're both even numbers, I'm going to halve it again. So that's 4, half of that, and 7. Now, some of you will have gone from here and said 4 is the highest number, goes into both. 4 into 16 goes 4, and 4 into 28 goes 7. So it's fine if you take more steps to get there. The idea is that we just want to get to the end, okay? Now be careful, you don't have to write this down. You might get a question like 1.23 to 3.652. Now in this case, we're trying to make them whole numbers. So you look at the one that you've got to go the most spaces, which would be this one to make it whole. It'd be 1, 2, I've got to go 3 spots to make that 3.652. So this way, I'd have to still go 3 spots. 1, 2, and there's going to be a 0. This would be 1, 2, 3, 0. Okay, so you want to choose the one that you've got to move the most. So if you only went 2 spots, this would still be a decimal. So just take care when you get to questions that have different number of decimal places. You want to go with the one with the most decimal places. All right, what about if we have a mixed fraction? So we have to do one step before that. So we're going to make it top heavy. So we have to do 1 times 9 plus 4. So just making it a top-heavy fraction. 1 times 9 is 9, plus 4 is 13. This becomes 13 divided by 9, dot, dot. And then we're going to go 1 times 3 plus 2. So 1 times 3 is 3, plus 2 is 5. And it's divided by whatever's on the bottom. Now, we haven't got to a nice fraction yet, a nice ratio yet in its simplest form. So what do we do because we've got fractions? This is what we do. We want to multiply by the lowest common denominator, okay? So a common denominator of 3, they're going to be 3, what goes into lowest common denominator. All right, what goes into 3 that also goes into 9, okay? So we want to multiply by, in this case, if they both go into the number, so 3 goes into 9, that's great. We're going to multiply by the lowest common multiple. That should be, it's my mistake. So a multiple of 3 is 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Multiple of 9 is 9, 18, 27. Okay, so 3, 6, 9, 12. These are 9, 18, 27. So the lowest number in both of these is 9. Okay, so we're going to multiply both sides by 9. And I'll show you what happens then. And then dot, dot, 5 over 3 multiplied also by 9. Now, when we do this, it should get rid of the fraction line. So the 9 and the 9 is going to cancel. So we've got 13, dot, dot, 3 and 9. So 3 goes into 3 once, and 3 goes into 9 3 times. So as I said, we've got 13 left here. These are just ones, remember, on the bottom. So on the top, we're going to have 5 times 3, which is 15. So these are both, well, that's a prime number. So these is as small as you can go. So if I just go over that again, if you have a mixed fraction, turn it into top-heavy fractions, then multiply by the lowest common multiple. Okay, so usually at year 9 it is the biggest number, but that might not always happen. So multiply both sides by the 9 and then you'll get rid of the fraction. Okay, find the value of x in the proportion. 3 over 7 equals 7 over x. So we want to know how to get to x. Now sometimes we could just go, like if that was a 6, we would say, oh, we multiplied by 2, so you just multiply by 2. So you might get some easy ones like this, but that's not always going to be the case. Okay, so as you can see here, we can't just simply go, how did you get from here? All right, so we are going to multiply by what's on the bottom. Now you can do this separately. So we're going to do the 7 first. So we're going to have 3 over 7. And you've got to do it to both sides. So first of all, we're going to multiply by 7. Both sides, okay? So we go, what happens on this side is they're going to go, we multiplied by 7 so we could get rid of that. So we've got 3 equals. And then on this side, we're going to have 7 7s are 49. So we're going to have 49 on top and an x on the bottom. So as you can see, we're going back to some algebra now. Now, we don't like this. This is ugly. So the same thing, how do you get how do you get rid of divided by x? You're going to times by x. And of course, you've got to do the same thing to both sides. And I've run out of room. You go down the page. So here we have 3x is equal to, and you'll see on this side the x's are gone, which is perfect, 49. So now we have the question, algebraically, we have 3 times x. How do we get rid of the times the 3? We're going to divide both sides by 3. Oh, this is annoying. I've run out of room. So this is x is equal to, let me see, 49 divided by 3 is 16.3. Now, usually it won't be a decimal, but don't be frightened if it is, because the question just said, what is x? All right, so it just means in proportion. 3 over 7 is the same as 7 over 16.3. All right, can you have a go at this one, please? So we're going to first step put it as a fraction. So b over 18 is the same as 4 over 3. And we're going to try and find b this time. So have a look at what I did here. It's actually easier because the b's on the top. I'm going to be quiet and do it, and then you can look up and see if you agree. Okay, hopefully you got b equals 24. You might want to press pause or come back to this later if you're not sure about that one. But we're going to have a go at another one now. Up here. All right, it says 6f. So we're going to go 6 divided by f equals 5 over 12. So 6 over what is the same as 5 over 12? All right, and this is like my first one. So you've got an F on the bottom. So have a go. You can watch and do with me, or have a go by yourself. Did you get 14.4? Now, there may be a few of you that are not getting these correct, so you might want to stay with your teacher and go through them, or just come back to the video and look at what I do, pressing pause yourself. All right, so that's ratio. The last thing, there's two things in this, and the next thing is scale, okay? So it says if there are two triangles and the scale factor is 3, it means the larger triangle is 3 times the size of the smallest one. So for instance, if we have a triangle here, and the ratio or the scale factor is 3, that means 1 to 3. And it means all of these sides are 3 times these. So if this was 1, for instance, this would be 3. Okay? Now, there is actually a lovely formula that we use to work out the scale factor. And this you definitely want to write in. Scale factor equals image length over object length. All right, what on earth does that mean? So we need to find that out. Image is the second one. So this is what you're given as an example. So this would be the image. Okay, this is the second one. And because you're given this, we call this as what it actually is. So you might say a triangle is blown up to 3 times its length or something like that. This would be the object because it's the original triangle, and this is the image, the one that is blown up. Now, it doesn't always have to go up. It can actually come down. The question is just simply find the scale factor. What on earth does that mean? Let's have a look at the formula. So scale factor equals image length over object length. Now, what are all these things? I'll show you. This says P dash Q dash divided by PQ. Now, if you have a look at this is our object on the bottom. This is the original. And you can see here I've got PQR. Now, that becomes P dash Q dash R dash, which means it's the same, but it's blown up by some amount. And this is 4 to 10, 6 to something, something to 20. And we want to work out what the scale factor is. So this says P dash to Q dash. So we're going to, and this one says PQ. So let's work out what we're doing. We're looking at these two. Why do you think we're looking at those two? Okay, because you might be left to just work it out yourself. Okay, if you've had to think about it, we have a number here and a number here. We're not going to use PR because we've got 6, but we don't know what that is. We're not going to use QR because we don't know the original object. We only have the image. That's why we use P and Q. So the image is always on the top, and we've got P dash Q dash. You'll get to the point where you don't write this. Okay, so don't be confused by that. You might want to just go, where are the 2 lengths that have got the numbers? Oh, they're these ones. I put the biggest one on the top, so that's 10, and I divide that by the original, which is 4. Okay, and then we divide that. If you divide that, you should get 2.5. Now you might be asked to do something once you know that. So once you know, what does that actually mean? So that means you're going, if you do 4 times 2.5, it's going to equal 6. So from that, you should be able to work this one out. It's going to be the original multiplied by the scale factor, and that will give you what that is. So that's what these questions say, find P dash R dash. So that's this. How do I find that? Might be easier to do what I just did then and go back and look. Oh, okay. If we multiplied that by 2.5 to get this, I'm going to go 6 times 2.5. I've written 2.5 times the original, which is 6. And 6 times 2.5 is 6, 12 plus 3, which is 15, I think. 6, 12, 15. Yes, it is. So that means we've found that this number here is 15. All right. How about if we want to find QR? This is Q and this is QR dash. All right, so this is going to be the other way around. So we're going to have the smaller one. So that's not right. I don't know why I've written that. Okay, so this time we're going to go, we don't know. So we're going to go QR times, so this one here times 2.5 is going to equal 20. Okay, so this one here multiplied by 2.5 will equal 20. How do we get that? So this is like multiplied by a number. So how do we get that? We want to divide by that number. And same to the other side, divide by that number. And your answer will be QR is equal to, how many 2.5s in 20? There's 4 in 10, so there must be 8. Of course, you can use your calculator. All right, so it means this is 8 here. All right, so let's have a quick check. 4 times 2.5 is 10. 6 times 2.5 is 15. And 8 times 2.5, 8, 16 plus a half of 8 is 4, is 20. And this is how you need to work this out. As I said, it's not a simple exercise to start with, so please make sure you ask your teacher if you need some help. And the exercises that I need you to do are written up here, and they're also in your lesson plan. 1A, 2A, 3 left-hand side, 4A, E, F, K, 5A, F, H, 6A, D, G, J, 8, 9, 11 and 12. I have picked the ones that are really specifically good for you guys, so please do them even though there's no pattern there to what I've picked. Thank you.